Right. We are live. Good morning, Africa. Good morning to the world and to the young people out there. My name is Sebastian, Segawaivan Sebastian. I am the East African Community Youth Ambassador to Uganda. I am also the regional coordinator of the East African Community Youth Ambassadors platform. I welcome you all to this live check-in. We are calling it the Africa Youth Pulse check-in, where I think this should be a weekly thing, where we check in as young people on everything that is happening around us and how we are viewing it. Before I introduce the young people I have with me today, I need to encourage all of you following us on Facebook or on Twitter. Just be part of this conversation. You can always just type into the comment section the city you are tuning in from, and then we can see how to touch base with you. Also, I will be sending out a few invites to people in the comment section to join us here in the live studio and share with us how life is where they are tuning in from. So far, I have three prolific young gentlemen. I have Ntambi Michael Blair. Ntambi Michael is Ugandan. He is a lawyer, and he is, I think, tuning in from the western part of Uganda. It will be exciting to hear how the lockdown is from that side of the country. We have Emmanuel Saulo, an engineer from the Republic of South Sudan. And today we are going to have good conversations around the recently celebrated independences in East Africa. We know that we have had one from Burundi, one from Rwanda, and our youngest country in the region and in the world, 10 years old now, South Sudan. I think we shall have to hear from Saulo about how the independence is and what the promise is for the future, and how the young people see the 10 years. And then we also have Elias Odiambo. Elias is the East African Community Youth Ambassador to Kenya. And Elias, I don't know why you have turned on your video, but I encourage all of us to turn on our videos so that the people following us out there can know and see who is sharing their views. Anyway, welcome guys. We are going to have more people join us in the live studio, and we, like I said, we encourage the young people out there to share with us where they are. Just go in the comment section, type in where you are, and then we can check in with you and see what is happening there. But fast forward, Emmanuel, I'll start with you, Engineer Emmanuel. How is the Republic of South Sudan, and how are the independence celebrations on the onset?
Me and good morning to all East Africa from South Sudan. I'm Emmanuel Saulu. So currently we are saying South Sudan at 10. Basically, it is the war that our forefathers and our fathers that fought for the liberation. And why we fought is why our fathers fought and our forefathers fought because of just basic human. So the South Sudan at 10 or the 10th independence, it's meant a lot for us here in South Sudan. We know as that we 2 wars, and now it's like it is time for us to sit down and tell our leaders that, guys, you have disturbed the country the last 10 years. Now it is time for you guys to rethink. And this is what South Sudan we are looking at, because if our forefathers that we lost in the war, they have been like they have been brought to life again, and they were asked, is this the country that they are fighting for? Definitely they will not be okay. So independence, it's meant for us liberation, it's meant for us a basic human rights that we fought for, and we are hoping that this is the right time for us to rethink of why we fought, and we have to see the way forward, exactly how the country we want it to look like.
Thank you, Manuel. Before we leave this topic, how are the celebrations amidst the pandemic, and what are the promises for the young people after these 10 years?
Oh, generally, the pandemic has affected all the continent, and South Sudan is not excluded from it. We in South Sudan, as a youth, we suffered from a lot from it. We didn't have a total lockdown, but we have almost 90% lockdown. So the lockdown has affected a lot of small businesses, as 80% of population of South Sudanese is currently is youth, people under 35. So the pandemic has us, let's say, majorly, we affected a lot, especially those who are trying to have small businesses. It's affected the education system. It has paralyzed the general livings. So it's really affected us. But we are trying now to adopt the new technologies and in place, how we can adopt or work with and trying to survive and regain some energy pandemic. But generally, the pandemic has affected us majorly the youth because the population is people under 18. So economically, it has affected us, has hit us badly, and we are trying to recover from it. Many people lost their business. I personally, I've affected from it my own business. It's completely like went to shut down. Not just me alone, many of us, because of the corona. But thank God, now we are reviving. We are trying to push things.
All right. Thank you, Manuel. And I agree with you that the effects of this pandemic are not unique to any country. They have hit everyone across the continent, actually across the world. And we pray that the 10 years that the Republic of South Sudan have traveled have been good lessons. And going forward, the country will enjoy more peace and more prosperity for its people, specifically the young people. Fast forward, I think I will go to the Republic of Rwanda. We have the ambassador to Rwanda, Mbabazi Clemence. And Clem, how are the celebrations of the independence?
Well, good morning once again to everyone. I don't think our context was very much different from the one of the Republic of South Sudan because of the ongoing pandemic. And especially that in the past few days, we've had second insurgents, we've had an increase in the COVID cases. And therefore, we have only celebrated online, Twitter chat, Instagram, and Facebook. And of course, we've had a few government officials talk directly to the public on the national television. But there was no convening for the Independence Day or the Liberation Day for that matter, because as much as we're not in a complete lockdown, we are limiting all sorts of physical contact. So therefore, our independence was definitely virtual. But the spirit is what matters most, and it was felt all over. Yes.
All right. We were supposed to have Jean-Claude, the ambassador to the Republic of Burundi, but is having issues connecting. However, for Rwanda, Burundi, and the Republic of South Sudan, I want to say that happy belated Independence Days.
One
Michael,
thing,
I will see you from South Sudan. Thank you for joining the live. I'm sure we are going to extend an invitation and also get a perspective of view of how the independence was in South Sudan. But for now, let me first, I think, rush to Uganda. Mr. Ntambi Emmanuel Blair. Like I said earlier, Blair is a member of the East African Community Youth Ambassadors Platform. Blair, where are you tuning in from?
Hello, Ivan. Hello, Clem, and everyone who is linked in. I am Ntambi Michael Blair, again from Mbarara, part of Uganda.
Yes, Blair. How is the West? How is the situation in Uganda?
The situation in Uganda is pretty much not very exciting to since we're now suffering from the second wave of a lockdown. This is not as usual. We've done this before in the first wave, but this time around it's hitting hard. Most of us are confined into our little spaces. We have to work from home. We have to study from home. Many young people who are unemployed have to live off the little hope that God send them some relief. They can afford what to eat for that particular day or that week. So it's not very exciting. There is no inter-district travel. So I cannot cross from Mbarara to actually get where you are, Ivan, in Kampala. Or I cannot even cross the border to get to where Clemens is in Rwanda, which is a few hours away from where I am. So that's the name of distancing, and we appreciate the standard operating procedures established by government. We are seeing that the curve is a little bit flattening now. So it's not as to be in Uganda now as it was a few weeks ago. So the situation as it is we're a little bit struggling. And if I'm to speak for majority of young people in the country, things are not really well. Things are not really well. Struggle to figure out what I have to eat, or even how to attend classes. Graduations are happening virtually. Those that had pending exams had to, stall. University students are back home, unemployed, have nothing to do, and are also becoming a burden to their parents back at home. Crime rates are pretty much increasing. Since people are to survive, and with the environment as is, realize that people are doing everything possible to see that they struggle to survive. So we're just hoping that the next few get much better. We're receiving a lot of hope from the Ministry of Health. The number should be getting better. The deaths are reducing from COVID. We're seeing innovations, and this is a big deal for the country. We are seeing a number of innovations in the health sector, a number of remedies, house remedies, or even traditional treatment remedies for the COVID-19, and many stories attributed to these remedies. There is a ray of hope from many people around the country after using a few of these, and they're celebrating the fact we had all this, let's call it magic, around the corner of our country, and we've been struggling for long. So we really hope that in a few weeks to come, things are going to be very well, and we might be ending the second wave in a few.
All right, thank you, Blair. I think we shall return to the. Thank you. I think we shall be returning to the innovations happening in Uganda. I know that there is COVIDX that the government has okayed to treat the coronavirus, although it is not explicit about it being a cure, but we shall return to that conversation. For now, let's check in with more people. I want to check in with the Republic of Kenya, and then later I will go to Tanzania, where I'm sure Mafunda cannot relate with these conversations of a lockdown. But let's first hear from Elias. Elias, how is Nairobi? Are you in Nairobi or Nakuru?
Seba, I'm in Nairobi. Okay, hi everyone. Nairobi is a bit cold, save for the pandemic, which has created a lot of chaos everywhere. Issues of social distancing and lockdown. Actually, until now, we are still under partial lockdown. We always have to get home by 10 p.m., save for essential service providers like us, lawyers, doctors, and other workers. But basically, I can say youth are trying to cope up. they're trying to recover, having been shown, having shown them the other side of events, having a negative effect in their businesses, and then not having to really cope up as things were. So they're trying to recover, getting donors from here and there to ensure that their business come back to life. And of course, the BBI was stopped, but in the previous week there were BBI appeals. So conversations are still going on as to what the Court of Appeal might determine to allow us either go to referendum or continue with our constitution as it is. But speculations are that we might go for a referendum before we go for general election, so we can just wait here in Kenya. Yeah, that's maybe what is happening here in Kenya.
All right. It's nice to know that we have essential workers amongst our ranks. Before I come to you, Mafunda, I see you colleagues from YWDEP, Mauritius, Barisei. We also see you. Good morning to you. We are happy that we can also learn what is happening in Mogadishu. But for now, Mafunda, how is Zanzibar? How is the lovely island? Okay, Mafunda, we don't seem to be getting your sound. All right, I think Mafunda is having some technical issues. We shall sort them in a bit. But for now, let's have Moses. Moses, you've been silently here. Can we hear from you? Good morning. And where are you tuning in from?
You mean Moses Kanyisije?
Moses Kanyesije. Moses, can we look at you?
What? Yes, Clemens.
No,
Good morning, Moses.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ivan. Good morning, colleagues. I'm tuning in from the headquarters of East African Integration, that is Arusha. My name is Moses Kanyesije, and I'm East African, and I work with youth, enterprise, trade, and business around the region as a coordinator. And happy hearing what you're doing and the challenges you're going through. Challenges make us strong, and it's not only us, it's all over the Africa, all over the world. And Seba, we are organizing a big event on Friday about youth. They want to express their views on the African integration market they want. I repeat, the African market integration they want. We call it one African market. Is it the Africa without borders? Is it the African without taxes, without tariffs? Is it African market without passport? Is it the African market without countries? Like they ask you, do you want to be asked that where do you come from? Are you a Ugandan? Are you a Tanzanian? Do you want to be referred as a Kenyan, a Ghanaian, a Botswanian, a Namibian, a South African, or you want to be referred as an African, or you want to be referred as an East African? So, colleagues, I can see someone has shared the poster. On Friday this week, we are having that big event, and it is starting from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. East African time. come and express your ideas, the ideals of African market you want, before big and high policymakers like the executive director of East African Business Council, the body that represents all private sector players, be it corporates, be it SMEs, be it those who are starting up. And we'll be having also youth policymakers who are working with the youth. So Seba, Kremer, Arias, and other colleagues, what is this integration? Integration says people-centered, private sector-led. Common market says you move from region to region. You shouldn't be allowed, denied to enter each country, or to be asked where is this and this. Customs union say you move your product that you've made from Rwanda, provided it makes 60 or 70% of raw materials come from East Africa, and you're allowed to sell it to South Sudan. But is that the real? Is that the practical thing that happens when you are moving your rice from Tanzania to South Sudan? When you are moving your oranges from South Sudan to Uganda, is it what happened? So come and express, come and talk, come and listen as we move this integration to a reality. Remember, we are the 70% of the population. We can push for integration, we can pressure and we have integration, or we can kill it. I submit, Seba.
Thank you so much, Moses, for explaining to us what is happening on Friday. We encourage everyone to be part of the AFCFTA Continental Digital Youth Dialogue on a one market, one African market. I think it comes in timely now that we are having a revolution of an e-market across the continent. I am personally excited about the deliberations that will be made. All right, before we go forward, we have Honorable Michael from the Republic of South Sudan. And Michael here has been following ardently until he requested to come in and share with us what is happening in South Sudan. Michael also works with the national government in the Ministry of Peace Building and is a master's student. Michael, how are you doing, and where in South Sudan are you tuning in from? Mike, are you able to hear me? Okay, I think Michael has connectivity challenges, but we shall get back to him. David Alan Emolot, we see you. And one is Stefan Elias. Please tell us where you're tuning in from. David, we know that you're coming in from Uganda. We are happy to hear from you. Blair has just told us here that Uganda is making big strides in innovation in response to the coronavirus. But now, Clem, I want to come back to you and check with you on, as you see events happening across the continent where, for example, we are having innovations in Uganda, we are having a few challenges, for example, down south. What's your perspective on these views?
On the innovations and or
no, the innovations, for example.
Well, to be quite honest, we are in challenging times, and I think they're calling for, more creativity, more innovation. And it, of course, does make sense that, wherever everyone is, we are trying our best to do things differently because, the changes that are happening are not allowing us to proceed as we used to. So we are adapting to a new normal. And it is, of course, necessary, and it is understandable why there's like a very a very huge move in innovations. However, we also have to admit, or let me say that's my personal perspective, I have to admit that it is still challenging for these innovations to happen everywhere. It is possible for people who are already, who have access to to various resources and have access to let's say connectivity, because in this pandemic, connectivity has been the biggest tool used. Look at ourselves, we're having a whole event online, but I know for a fact that there are people around the region who would definitely benefit from these, but cannot because they're not connected. So my perspective on innovation is it is very important. It is very necessary that we drive it, we push it to be the best it could be. However, we also have to start looking at solutions that will help everyone else, that will be accessible to everyone from wherever they are. And it is also good to admit that it is not possible to achieve that right now. So I have to commend everyone for what they're doing so far. I see so many stories, and honestly, it's all about resilience. It's all about, positivity. And I'm really glad to see what my fellow young people and also older generations, whatever they're doing across the continent and across the world, it's inspiring. Honestly, I'm not really sure that if you told us 2 years ago to do what we're doing today, we would say that it is impossible. But we're doing it now because we have been pushed to, and I'm sure we will still do more. So yes, Seba, if I've answered you, or if you have like follow-up questions, I don't know.
No, thank you, Clem. I think that was sufficient, and we are having more voices from Rwanda. Muhira Nesta is telling
Absolutely.
us that in Rwanda schools are closed and learning is happening from home, but the primary living are doing their national exam. It is nice to hear that at least very many of our East African countries and African countries are ensuring that we do not get a stunted education lag. And it's a good thing. But for now, Michael from South Sudan, are you able now to interact with us? Michael? All right. I'll come to you, Elias, and the question is simple. I know that you've had the the benefit during this pandemic to be definitely in Nairobi, but also to travel to Tanzania that has not had these restrictions of a lockdown in place. And I just want you to share your perspective. Do you think the lockdown should be a way we need to react to the pandemic, or you think that the Tanzanian model is one that leaders need to look at keenly in a way of adopting it anyway?
Well, Seba, that is a health issue, which I think I'll give a social perspective about it while answering it. One, the manifest reason why we exist is to live, and sustenance and job and so on and so forth, I think, in my view, comes second. So if our existence as human is dependent on the restrictions, then in my view, if the fact that health experts have advised that that is the way to go, I think we have no expertise whatsoever to give them a contrary view on how to handle it. So if the experts have said that we should have restrictions on our movements, we should have social distances, and all the WHO guidelines that have been put in place to regulate the spread of COVID, I think that's the best route to go. However, remember, we are sovereign, and each state knows what is best for its citizen. And in Tanzania, they've placed several measures which maybe are not in line with most of the African countries, the ones which most African countries have adopted. But far from it, we are Africa, and Africa is our business. So if Tanzania decides that that is the way they can control the pandemic, then if it's reasonable well with them, people are not dying, then so be it. Let them do things as they deem fit. Remember, remember, well, in Tanzania, we always take dawa, and they've proved that the dawa is working. So as long as we are not losing lives, as long as we are coexisting as a country, and even in our borders, there are restrictions to regulate the spread of COVID from one country to the other. I think there need not to be no cause of alarm, and we need just to appreciate and follow all the guidelines that each and every partner states have put in place for us to regulate the spread of this pandemic. So, in my view, let's follow the WHO guidelines, and let's adhere to all the regulations and policies put in place by each partner state, because we are not in this for 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 as much as we are still alive. It's something that is that come, just like the one that was there 100 years ago. It will come and go. So maybe we are at the tail end, or we are in the middle, but at the end of the day, this thing will come and go now that we have vaccines. So let's just sit in it, and we'll get out of it, Saba.
All right. A touch of optimism is always never bad. Thank you, Elias, for promising a brighter future for us. And I just want to say, one is Stefan Elias from South Sudan. I see you. Thank you for tuning in. And we have a question on how's Uganda's situation about the economics now. We had Ntambi Michael Blair from Uganda, but I think he has dropped. But considering that I am from Uganda myself, I need to report that Uganda has had very many things going for it. And in this lockdown, I think starting last week, yes, the government started giving out a relief. It's some semblance of a stimulus package to what they call the vulnerable group of people. And this in the first lockdown, they, I think, gave them food, like material packages, but this time they have decided to just send them mobile money, and it has created an interesting fuss over the internet. Although the argument then becomes the colleagues that are always on the internet, do they fall in the group of the vulnerable that need the stimulus package or not, considering the challenges and that come with procurement of data and things of a sort. But to speak from a grander point, I think when a country is locked down, its economy is bleeding, it is suffering, and it might not be so bad, but I don't think it is growing as steadily as it would when the country was open. Izzadin Rashid from Kenya, you're most welcome. And right now, I just want us to, because we have about 10 minutes to close this check-in, and then we shall just arrange for these check-ins to be weekly. We shall have them every Monday and every Wednesday. And we encourage young people, if you want to be part of our check-in, you can always let us know during this check-in, and then we can be able to schedule you in either on this very one or on the coming one. But colleagues, Clem and Elias, I just want to borrow your minds. What happens after this? And Emmanuel is also back. Engineer Manuel, what happens after the pandemic or going forward now? I mean, we do not have a guarantee that it is going to end tomorrow or in 5 years. But how do we as young people move on from here? Engineer Saulo, I think I'll start with you.
Thank you, Ivan. I think the way forward, it is we have to adopt the new methods of doing things. Technology is the way forward.
Emmanuel, I think we have lost you there on connectivity, but Clem, the way forward. How do we move on as young people from here?
What I do know, like you said, we don't know when this pandemic is going to be done with, and we cannot say that it's anytime soon or in a further future. But one of the things that we have learned through this pandemic is that anything is absolutely possible. As young people, we have so many times been restrained. But I think going through this pandemic has shown us that we can absolutely do anything. We can break the barriers. And I think that the way forward for us is to just keep on with a positive mentality, go beyond our limits, because at the end of the day, we have to also acknowledge that the world, wherever is headed, it is for us to fight for it. It is for us, to fix everything that is wrong with it. The older generation has absolutely done the best to pave the way for us to get into these spaces. And so as soon as we take the lead, which I believe is now, we have to come in with this mentality of everything is possible. We can do it more than we've done before. We can be as innovative as possible. We can be as creative as possible. And we don't always need an excess of resources to be able to achieve what we're looking for. So I believe that even though we are waiting for the pandemic to be over, even right now, as we are still going through this pandemic, and the variants change every day, the situations change every day, what we need to understand is that the way forward is to just keep pushing, keep aiming farther and higher, because honestly, nothing is promised, and we have seen that. But we have seen as young people that we are able, we are resilient, and when we come together, we have a bunch of initiatives and projects that we've been able to push through and see them come to life. Then I do believe that for us, the question is not whether the pandemic is going to end or not. The question is how committed are we to just keep moving and to keep creating regardless of what is happening around us. Because today is the pandemic, tomorrow it could be something else, we're not sure. But the idea is that we just keep working, we just keep doing whatever we have to do, regardless of what is happening.
Thank you, Clem. Elias, how
Well,
do we move forward?
they say necessity is the mother of all inventions. I think pandemic has brought a lot of necessities, a lot of gaps that needs to be filled through technology. And then this pandemic has also, during this pandemic, a lot has been happening. Like Moses shared, there's developments on African free trade area. I think with these all opportunities and all these problems that need to be solved, young Africans, young East Africans, the young people, having known that we have ideas which just need to be executed, it's time maybe as youth we come up with various ways of solving these problems that has been brought as a result of pandemic. Remember, most people nowadays don't go at work, but there are those services that were before that still need to be executed, but in a rather different way. We can have home-based solutions as youth through innovations and chatting up new ideas to come up with solutions to the problems that have been created as a result of COVID, and also to create opportunities amongst ourselves by not waiting for what the government can offer for us. Like it's like the US president say that youth should not ask not what the government has done for you, but ask what you've done for the government. So with the problems created by pandemic, it's my view that young Africans should have a home-based solutions to their problems, and then chart a new path through innovations, through technological advancements as Africa, and even taking opportunities brought by the free trade area. Let's not just think home, let's think over and overboard from within the region. You can do business in Ghana, in West Africa, in Northern Africa, and so on and so forth. So I think this is an opportunity, in my view, that in as much as we coexist with the problem, young Africans who are very innovative should come up with new ideas to solve problems which existed before, or solve problems which have been caused by COVID-19 pandemic. I believe it's possible, and always optimistic that this continent has great potential of young Africans who are full of ideas and innovations, and it is possible, Seba.
All right. Thank you. I think we shall now hear from Engineer Emmanuel, and then we shall go to Michael Blair in Uganda. Emmanuel, what's the way forward for the young people now?
Thank you. My internet, but my okay. I was saying that I was having some issues with my internet, but it is back. So I think the way forward is for us as youth, we have to adopt new ways of doing things by using or utilizing the internet and the technology. I saw in my country, South Sudan, there is a lot of initiatives currently going on. The online market, youth are trying to bring online businesses, trying to recover from the pandemic by using technology, not using the old traditional things. So the way forward is we have to adapt because this is not the last pandemic. We know that there is many pandemics will come, and but it is a great lesson for us now to learn that to utilize the technology, and for our governments also to have to invest a lot on infrastructure, especially on telecommunications, trying to bring the prices down so that everyone can afford internet because now everything is digital. So this is the way forward. And most importantly, what I've learned from the pandemic, you cannot survive on your own. So when my business was about to go down, I've realized there is opportunity to do work with one of my colleagues that I knew in Zimbabwe. So that one has helped my business not to go down completely, and it's revived. So there is a lot of opportunities of making networking and the cross borders business. Imagine I'm dealing in technology, someone there in Zimbabwe, not just my next step neighbor like Ivan, the one in Uganda, but someone in Zimbabwe. So what on my own perspective is we need to make enough connections that we do the cross border trade that will help because I don't need him to come from Zimbabwe to of things that sustain my life and sustain him there in Zimbabwe. So the cross-border things is a way forward. So we need to utilize the technology. We have to deal also with the cross-border chances of trading. That is the way forward for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. We see the East African Community Youth Ambassador to Burundi has just joined in. Jean-Claude Mugisha. Jean, are you able to hear me? I see your connection is not the best. Jean, where are you tuning in from in Burundi?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
We are very well. You're speaking to the young people of the world. Where are you tuning in from?
I'm from Burundi and I'm just joining you late. I'm sorry for this delay, but I think I must be with you this time. Thank you.
Yeah, we are happy to have you, Jean. We were having a conversation about independence celebrations amidst the pandemic, and we know that Burundi has celebrated its independence recently. How are the celebrations? How are the spirits around the independence celebrations?
So as far as I was concerned to observe on the Independence Day of Burundi on 1st July this year, so it was a very good experience than ever before because at this time we have celebrated the independence with the new achievements from the new government. So we presented how far have come the country and at which stage we are now. And it was very progressive that we see our country going forward in economic development and also in the stability of security now. So, but we are just still going forward because we have some areas of improvement. But as the path is visible now, we just are going. We are taking off to another level. Yeah. This is mainly what we need when we talk about independence. Is about economic independence. Is social independence in all domains. We need independence. We don't need to say that we are independent now and we are not even able to be independent at economic level. This is a challenge, and a common challenge for almost many countries of African countries. And now we have understood that it's a very huge issue to stay under colonization of economy, African economies, that we are just making ways to go and improve the situation, just as we have understood what's the issue, what's the main issue, and why then we are going to look for ways to overcome it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jean. And I agree with you that African identity is key, and independence in all aspects is very important. Right now, I think we have stayed the time that we had arranged. Thank you so much. But before I go, I want to just note that Barise from Mogadishu said that Mogadishu is fine. There is no more fighting. School is going on, both for, I think, secondary and university levels. And Barise is hoping that all Africa is like that. One love from all the pages. And we want to say that from the ESC app and ULEAD, we are very big proponents of peace and security across the continent. And we recently launched the East African Peace Youth Network. I know Elias is a member of this peace network. So we are very happy. It gives us a lot of joy to learn that Mogadishu is peaceful now. And we hope that this peace is sustained. All right. So in conclusion, we are going to close, but this is how we are going to close. So everyone is going to say bye. Everyone is going to bid us goodbye, but in your local language. Okay. So I will start with Elias, then I will go to Jean. We have Blair on, we have Saulo on. So everyone just say goodbye to us, but in your local language. Let's appreciate the diversity on this call. Elias.
I'm a typical Luo. We say Oritiuru.
Jean.
Come again.
Now we want you to tell us goodbye in your local language.
Yeah. And how did Elias say?
Elias said it in Luo. Elias, you want to repeat it?
Jan, as you are aware, I'm a typical Luo. We say Oritiuru.
Okay. And in Kirundi, we say Nagasaga.
Saulo, how do you say it in South Sudan?
Because generally we speak Arabic, so I'm gonna use Arabic. We say it Salama.
Okay, I think. Sorry?
Ma'asalama.
Masalama. All right, Ntambi Michael Blair from Uganda.
Yes, I'm a Muganda, and in Buganda we say tunadda mu bakulu mubere bulungi.
Kale Sebo. Moses, now that you are an East African citizen, in which language are you going to bid us farewell?
The good thing I speak all East African local languages. So I don't know which one do you want, but I am East African originally from Uganda. So I'll go back to Uganda. You want a word like thank you in my local language? Or?
Yes, yes.
I come from Western Uganda, Ntungamo, and we say mwebale munonga.
Alenyo.
Asante sana in East African language.
Clem,
Akoze
are you
cyane.
there?
Aha.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being part of this call. This is the
Now,
African.
Seba, you have not told us your language.
I am going to conclude. Thank you. This is going to be happening weekly. We shall have it every Monday at 10:30 and every Wednesday at 10:30. All you have to do is tune in and tell us where you're tuning in from, what events are happening there. What events are happening there, and how do you see life? Just check in with us. Let's have a catch up so that we as young people, we know what is happening across the continent. And like Saulo and Clemence have mentioned, that we now need to prove more than ever that we are a global village, that we can be connected even with disadvantage of distance and boundaries. All right, thank you so much. I come from Uganda, and in Uganda, tugamba ndi musajja Muganda, I'm a Muganda, so tugamba mwebale nnyo mwebalire ddala. Thank you, and this is the end of this check-in. Cheers.
Webale nnyo, webalire ddala.